Welcome to the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast, live from FABTECH 2024. Thank you all for being here, those that are and those that aren't. I'm sorry you're missing it. You need to get here. We're here in Orlando, and it's really been a fantastic show. Yesterday, the numbers were better than last year, or 2 years ago, anyways, when our last show was in the Great South here. So we really appreciate everybody who's been here. I have the terrific pleasure today of having Lisa Ryan with me. Welcome, Lisa.
It is so good to be back with you, Dean.
It's phenomenal. I'm trying to remember. You were I think, one of the first guests that we had on when we actually went to our video broadcast.
Yeah, so a podcast where I actually had to do hair and makeup.
Oh, I don't have that problem, and I'm having less and less of that problem every day. So, but I deal with it as best I can. So it's great to have you here again.
Thanks.
Right off, I'd like to talk to you about some of the challenges that you see coming out of workforce today.
You know, I think one of the things that I've been getting the most questions on is kind of interesting because for a while, one of the programs I was doing was on generations in the workplace, and that was back in the day when nobody could figure out millennials, and frankly, a lot of it was just millennial bashing sessions, which was totally unfair. And then as the millennials started getting older, I mean, for goodness sake, they're in their 40s right now. And so that kind of cooled down, but now that Gen Z is coming into the workplace, it's starting up again because they are wired completely different than millennials before them. And so we have to really figure out, not only do we have this new generation in the workplace, but then in a post-pandemic economy, employees are just different now. The workplace is different, and if organizations are unwilling to change to that, it's not going to be a good ending.
I think that's a great that's a great observation, because one of the challenges that we've seen before, there was a book years ago called The New Breed, and it was about volunteers, but it was a father-son team, I believe, that had written it. And one of the things that they talked about was understanding the next generation of people that were coming in and what their expectations are.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that you're clear with workers of what is their expectation of what this job entails, but even more what your life is going to be like working around it. You have to be more open to accepting of new different ideas of what their expectations are, but you have to match them. I've always said that when somebody doesn't show up after you've just done an interview with them and they took the job, they come in and they're in for the morning and they don't come back in the afternoon.
Right.
That is absolutely that expectations did not meet with what they wanted and what you were delivering.
Right.
And I think it has flipped around, because it used to be the company had expectations and the delivery had to meet what the company wanted. Now it's the other way around.
It's completely shifted. And I think that that's the thing. And this is really pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, we're not going back to the good old days, of 2019, because when you have workers that are used to working remote, they expect flexibility. And they also know that because of the shortage, 2.8 million manufacturing jobs going unfilled, that they have lots of choices. Because not only are they thinking, well, I'll just go to the manufacturer down the street. No, they're saying, you know what, I think I'll just drive for Uber, or maybe I will deliver for DoorDash, or become a YouTube influencer. So we're competing against YouTube, for goodness sake. And the thing is, back in the day, if you and I had a tough day at work, we were just like, well, that's why they call it work. And now you have a tough day at work with younger folks who have different expectations, and they're like, you know what, I'm out. Mm-hmm. So it really is developing those soft skills, which are essential skills, we know that, to have that connection and to understand that Gen Z and the younger millennials have just as much of the work ethic. They want to work, they want to be loyal, and they understand technology at a level that you and I can't even comprehend because they've been born with it, so they see things differently. So when they come to you and they've been, on the job for 3 days, they have no idea what you do. They have no idea what a press is, but they heard of one once. and they walk into your office, uninvited, of course, plop themselves down and say, I've only been here for 3 days, but I see some things, and I'd like to share them with you. And number one, you as a CEO are not used to people just plopping into your office and telling you about things, but listen to them. We're not going to roll our eyes back in our head. We're not going to say, we've been doing it this way for 40 years and it's not broken. No, because that person sees something, and what they may be giving you is the key to your next success in your business.
I like that, because that's one of those areas when I've talked to companies about their workforce and understanding their people. One of the aspects that is very crucial is to the listening part. They want to be heard. They want to be part of the solution. You have to be a better active listener. You have to respond. It isn't always that their idea is the one you're going to implement, but you have to listen to them and take it at face value of what they're trying to convey to you. And they may not have the best communication skills of how do I convey my message. They just say, this is what I'm seeing. So you have to take that and say, okay, let's bring that into the fold. How do we find a solution that meets everything? It does progress things, but it also helps to take it to a place where your company can grow and they can grow.
Right.
Do you find that many of the people are having to manage their, let's just say that they have to manage what they want out of the relationship back and forth?
It is a back and forth. And I think that there's so many different things going on when it comes to, our baby boomers, that silver tsunami of people who are leaving, and we look at the number of years of experience and the why and how we used to do things walking out the door. And you have the new people coming in that don't necessarily know what these people know inherently. And so not only mentoring relationships so that these people still feel valued, but also reverse mentoring, because you have some of your older, more tenured employees, and they are still scared to death of technology, where in a lot of cases it's just stupid easy. Mm-hmm. So you have somebody that can help them with that. But I had the most interesting conversation here yesterday as I was talking to a company owner, and he basically said, I bring in these young kids, they're on the job over there, they're on their phone all day long, and I'm just trying to figure out how to get them to work. I'm like, dude, what you don't know, because we are making judgments, is maybe that employee is trying to figure out something, so he's going to YouTube and he's looking at a 2 or 3 minute video so that he can figure out how to do it himself. So I think that that's it. We have so many judgments that we're making because we don't understand what other people are thinking. And instead of having that conversation and, like you said, that active listening and figuring it out, how can we work together? What can you give, and how can I give in return? So it's just a completely different conversation and a level of openness that we have to have, that attitude that we're okay with change because they're changing.
Yeah, and I think that we've had this perception that it wasn't like that before, and some things weren't this way. But the world has changed. Everything has changed. Technology has changed. Even a stamping press room floor has changed. The controls have gotten more sophisticated. The information we want out of that equipment has changed. And we also need to understand that the workers have changed within that context now. And for example, when we're actually looking at the equipment, their skill set lends itself to the technology. So you need to understand and leverage that for your benefit.
Right.
So work instructions. They want to see work instructions on something they can put on their phone.
Exactly.
So that they can look them up, and then they have them. And they don't understand when you say, well, we have this manual of your... Why do you have paper? Why do you have a manual?
Right.
Why isn't it on my phone? Why can't I just look this up? They don't understand that. And I think that one thing I will say is that a lot of younger generations have a lower tolerance for poor technology utilization.
Oh, yeah.
They see it and they're like, this is horrible. This is a horrible app, and they won't utilize it if it's not a good application. Do you see more technology needing to be leveraged in the workforce?
Yeah, I think that not only do we need to use more technology and automation to make up for some of that worker shortage that we're facing, but it also is a recruiting tool. Because if that new candidate prospect walks into your manufacturing plant and all he sees is, or she sees, is equipment from the 1940s, and it is everything that your mother ever warned you about with manufacturing, dark, dirty, dangerous, and that's exactly what you're representing, the chances of them wanting to work for you get a lot less. But if you have a robot or cobot, when they're first walking in and they're like, ooh, I want to work with that.
Yes.
You know, it's just, so if you look at the automation and getting rid of the grunt work, figure out the things that your employees hate doing the most and start automation there. And then look for ways to upskill and reskill your employees that were doing those more manual jobs, to help them to do something else and to contribute in a different way.
Yeah. I'll give you the last word. Tell me one or two things that most manufacturers can do today that can help them.
Well, as you know, my company is Grategy, which is Gratitude Strategies. So express your appreciation for your employees. Let them know that they are a valued part of your organization and that you couldn't do it without them. And if you're asking me, you know, Lisa, do you mean I need to thank my employees for doing their job? You know what? No, I'm not saying that at all. But if you don't, somebody else will.
That's a great point. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being here. This has been the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast, powered by the Precision Metal Forming Association, live from Metal Forming Pavilion here on the FABTECH floor. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.